And here now with reaction is Fox News contributor, of course, the editor of LifeZette, and a nationally syndicated radio host. Laura Ingraham is back with us. Laura, I like the idea. You don't see many people. I remember Ed Koch always used to go out and thank people when he was the mayor of New York for their vote. I think the idea that you go out, not only thank them, but reassure them that what you promised during the campaign remains your agenda. You know, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I think at this moment, Sean, Trump has a real opportunity to begin to expand the base of the electorate that he attracted on Election Day by continuing to preach the gospel of prosperity, freedom, independence, sovereignty, the rule of law, as applied to everyone, regardless of your skin color, your ethnicity, where you came from. If you're an American citizen, if you played by the rules, you're going to have a much better shot at having more money in your pocket, living a life in safety and actually happiness if he does what he said he was going to do. And I think the reassurance is smart. I think he should keep doing this throughout his 4 and perhaps 8 years in office. And that'll drive the left crazy, but keep going into those areas where Republicans have traditionally had difficulty and continue to reassure and build on what he started.
I'm going to do my opening monologue in the next segment, and that's about the collective left freakout, which is getting worse every day. But it seems like Barack Obama is jealous that he's not the center of attention, and apparently he's going to go out on his own tour, I guess, to try and steal the thunder from Donald Trump. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to brag on. It's certainly not going to be the number of additional millions of Americans in poverty and food stamps, or the lowest home ownership rate, or doubling of the debt, or Iraq, Afghanistan, China, Russia, or Benghazi. So I'm not sure what he's going to say, but he did take a shot. Again, remember when he said Bible thumpers clinging to their guns, Bibles and religion, and that sort of thing? Here's what he said last night on CNN.
There's a reason why attitudes about my presidency among whites in northern states are very different from whites in southern states. So, you know, are there folks whose primary concern about me has been that I seem foreign, the other? Are those who champion the birther movement, you know, feeding off of bias? Absolutely.
So there attitudes about my presidency from whites in northern states is different from whites in southern states. How do we interpret that?
Sean, it's both preposterous and pathetic. The idea that you can't harbor a negative view of Obama's accomplishments or lack thereof without being a racist if you're living in the South and are Caucasian means that it's a different type of racism, and it's a different type of bias coming from the left. Again, they're always going to excuse failed liberal policies by trying to play some type of identity politics. In this case, of course, it's the race card. This follows, of course, after people like Eric Holder, who also brought this up a few years back, that the criticism of Barack Obama was based in race. When young people, people in our generation, Sean, I don't care what color your skin is. If your policies work, if they respect the Constitution, they honor our time-tested values, they're going to work, and Americans are going to, you know, like what you did. If you don't do that, it doesn't matter where you came from, doesn't matter what color your skin, there are a lot of Americans who are going to be unhappy with that. That's what happened with Obama. They personally like him, think he's a good father and a good guy, but they don't like the direction the country's gone in. More divided, fewer jobs, more globalization, open borders, and all the rest. But the fall back on the race card, I mean, I guess you can't blame Bush anymore, so you just go with race. And stereotyping Southerners, that's just the oldest trick in the liberal playbook. And it's tired. It's just old, and it's tired.
But the problem I see for President Obama, and I'm speaking objectively, I mean, I always thought he was a radical, rigid, left-wing ideologue. He's never deviated from that. No sister soldier moment. The era of big government is over, the end of welfare. And as a result, there were people like us that were warning that statism, leftism, redistribution failed. His signature program, Obamacare, a disaster. There's no one economic statistic that I can point to that points to success. And I would argue that he played a big role in the election of Donald Trump because of those failed policies.
Well, he's doing a refutation tour now, Sean.
Yeah.
He wants the historians to write the history of his administration the way he wants it written. And so it's about racism, it's about those awful Southerners, it's about rigid ideology, where I think you're exactly right. He never left the campus. He's still at Harvard University agitating. He's still back on the street corner in Chicago, community organizing. That's what his experience was. That's where he came from. And they always talk about how Trump hasn't evolved to be presidential. I think you can make the argument that Obama never evolved beyond the campus activist setting. He got stuck there, and he never would leave it. There was no moment of recognition or self-reflection on maybe mistakes he made. Instead, it's always the other guy's fault. It's always Fox News, it's talk radio.
Are you worried at all about Donald Trump meeting, saying good things about Obama, meeting with Al Gore, Rombo Deadfish, Mitt Romney? Are you worried about him meeting with any of these people?
Not if he stays true to his campaign promises, his policies, the bedrock of restoring freedom and the rule of law, sovereignty, economic prosperity. He has to stick to those core principles. It doesn't matter, in the end, with whom he meets if he does the things that he said he was going to do. And I think there's always going to be compromises necessary, but those core values that he ran on and that he won on, he's got to stick to that.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think a lot of people are going to be watching very carefully, and I think people are hopeful for good reason.
All right, Laura, always good to see you. Thank you so much for being with us.